And then you said something about preserving cost data when switching POS systems. So I think what we do in cannabis too is if something isn't working, we change it quickly. You know, like it just, we don't have time to think about it. What's the next best thing, right?
Absolutely.
But what happens when we keep switching it?
The data gets dirtier and dirtier. So
Right.
yeah, I remember that was one of the first conversations that we had is
Yeah.
these point of sale switches do make the data dirtier. And then specifically on the cost data. So before I started my consulting business, I did the data processes for some of these point of sale companies and taking, the data from the point of sale system the client was using and moving it to the new one. And so I really saw how these things are handled. And one of the things is that cost is not a required field in most of the point of sale systems. So when you're transferring data over, if you don't have the cost, you don't need to have it. And so what that causes to happen is that in the transfer process, some point of sale companies will just lose the cost data. I actually had a client that I was transferring over this past summer from one to another. And if I hadn't been in there looking at the data process, they would have lost all their cost information. What that means is that they no longer have access to their margins. They don't know how much money they're making. So and you have to go back in and enter all that data again. So changing the point of sale system is not a simple thing. It's not something that you should do lightly, but if it's something that you need to do, you should do it, but do it properly and with the right support.